guys, this is Ramona. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. For this video, I will be talking about all the books that I read in the month of March. So I'll give you guys the rating for each of those books out of 5. And I'll also give you guys a quick summary of what each of those books were about. For the month of March, I read 13 books. 4 of those were ebooks that were advanced reader copies that I got from publishers to read prior to the books being released to the public, and the other 9 were physical copies. So I'm going to go through each of the books that I read. I'm not going through the books in any particular order. I'm just doing them randomly. I will, however, start with the ebooks because I have them here on my iPad because, of course, I wouldn't have physical copies. The first book that I wanted to talk about was The Intimacy Experiment by Rosie Danan. This book follows Naomi and Ethan. So Naomi is a former porn star who's now a business owner of a very successful startup. And she's recently done her master's degree and is interested in teaching. Of course, because of her previous occupation, nobody wanted to hire her to teach. So Ethan, who's a rabbi at a Reformed Jewish synagogue, he's new to that role as well, and he's tasked by the board to bring in new members to the congregation because the numbers have gone down so low. So Ethan comes up with an idea, a very unconventional idea of how to bring people in. And one of those ways was to have an intimacy workshop that he wanted Naomi to lead. Of course, she was hesitant to lead it. And it just follows their time working together, their love story. Naomi basically self-sabotaging because, of course, she's one of those people who doesn't believe in the fairy tale and the happy ever after. So I thought it was a cute story. If you like steam in your rom-coms, I think you will enjoy this one. Rosie does a pretty good job. That was a 4 out of 5 for me, so I love that. The next book I'll talk about is The Girl Who Escaped from Auschwitz. This story follows Mala and Edward, who were prisoners in the concentration camp. It's a World War II historical fiction novel, and it's written by Ellie Midwood. This book I really enjoyed. This was a 4 out of 5 for me. I think people who would enjoy this book are people who liked the tattoos of Auschwitz. If you like that book, you definitely will love this book. Molly has the distinction of being the only female to escape from that concentration camp. So the book basically follows their story of basically surviving in the concentration camp and trying to rebel in however way they can rebel against the Nazi regime. And it also follows their love story. It's a great book. It's a dark book at times because, of course, it's talking about the millions of people who died. I do enjoy those World War II stories. Some of them are dark, but I don't know, I'm going through an obsession at the moment with World War II stories. But you guys should definitely give this one a read. The next book I'll talk about is The Secret Diary of a New Mom, aged 43 and a quarter, by Cari Rosen. And this book is a memoir. So Cari Rosen is a British journalist and writer. And this is her memoir that follows her journey through becoming a mom at an age that society considers to be older than what is typical, right? So she talks about what it was like before she got pregnant. All the questions are, when are you getting pregnant? When are you getting pregnant? So when she finally decided to have a child. And it talks about the double standards in society that exist between male and female when it comes to the age at which you become a parent. So of course, if you have a man who decides to become a parent or becomes a father at age 45, 50, or even older, it's a big story. And the reason it's a big story is because it's a great accomplishment that a man can do that at that age. However, when a female does the same thing, it's more like, how dare you? Why did you get pregnant so older? You're not going to be there for your kids when they're older, and all these stories. And it talks about the importance, I think, as society, we think we all have a say in the lives of women in terms of when and how they have children. So the constant questions, not understanding why somebody may decide to wait for a later time to have a child, whether that's based on the fact that they may be having challenges getting pregnant, or they've chosen to not have a child until a certain stage in their lives. It follows that. And I think it's a great story. This book was a 3 out of 5 for me. And the reason it wasn't a higher rating is because maybe she's a funny person. Maybe she's just not my brand of humor. But I felt like she tried to be too funny. I know when you're talking about a serious topic, it's always helpful to put some humor in it, right? To lighten the moment. But I felt like there's a very fine line where you kind of need to stop. I thought it went over that line where it no longer was funny. Like at certain points, I found it hard to take what she was saying seriously because she just tried to make everything funny. And after a while, I didn't find it funny. Again, we all have different tastes, right? So it may be a 3 for me and it may be a 5 for you. So the final ebook I wanted to talk about was the dog share. And I really wish we were live right now so I could ask you guys to look at this picture and tell me, what do you think this book is about based on the cover? And also, if you go on Goodreads or Google and you Google this book, the synopsis of the book is also very misleading. So this book by Fiona Gibson, The Dog Share, and it says, 2 strangers, 1 dog, it's complicated. To me, if I see this cover and the picture and how the synopsis read, to me, I think I'm going into a rom-com, right? About potentially 2 people who met through having to share a dog and maybe fell in love through having to share the dog. And that's not what this story is about. This book I gave a 3 out of 5. And this could have easily been a 4 because it's a really sweet story. It's written really, really well. But I don't like to be duped. I don't like to be tricked. And I feel like this is what happened. And it kind of ticked me off because I think that's becoming a trend with publishers. I read a book last month and it was called Can I Give Back My Stepkids? And it wasn't even about her stepkids. It was about her sister's kids. And anyways, I won't get into that one. But this is the second book that I'm reading recently that the cover, the synopsis and everything completely is different from what the book is actually about. If you don't care about being duped, you can give it a go. But I think it's misleading, and I think publishers should stop doing that. I think rom-coms right now are super popular, and maybe people are trying to capitalize on that by kind of making people think that that's what they're buying when it's not, and that doesn't really work well for me. So that's my gripe with this book. Next, we'll go through the actual physical books that I read in March. So this book, I actually got the advanced reader copy of it as well, and I loved it so much, I decided to buy the actual book. I also love the cover a lot, so and really that's why I got it. I wish I got the hardcover because I feel like the hardcover would have looked better. Don't you guys think? But anyway, so yeah, I love this book. I think this book is ideal for Bridgerton fans. I know a lot of people really loved that show, and it's now on pause. They're coming up with the season 2. So I think while you wait for season 2 of Bridgerton, this book will help you to get your Regency romance, historical romance fix. It follows August Crenshaw and Evan Sterling. So August is American. Her family is very wealthy, but they're new money. And so of course, as new money, there's certain social circles that they're just not accepted in, because how dare you have new money? So her parents, in wanting to fit into these social circles that they don't have access to, decides that a marriage by convenience to a duke would do the family well. And it follows the whole debacle of them trying to marry off their daughter. But it's a super fun book. I think you guys will love it, especially if you're Bridgerton fans and if you love historical romance or Regency romance books. The fashion in this, like, I feel like I could see all the dresses, and I love how people dressed in that era. If I could go back to one era just for the clothes, it would be that one, not for anything else, just the clothes. So love that one. This was a 5 out of 5. The next book that was a 5 out of 5 for me was The Book of Lost Names. And this book is an historical fiction. by Kristin Harmel. And I really love this book. Like, I didn't even know how to write a review. Like, sometimes a book is that good where you're like, you don't even know how to write a review that will do the book justice. And so it was kind of difficult, but I love this book. 5 stars. It follows Eva. She's basically a forger during World War II. So she was helping to forge documents for Jewish children so that they're able to escape France to get into Switzerland. And also features Remy, who was her partner. He was working with her in forging those documents. And he also worked as a trafficker where he helped to bring those kids across the border into Switzerland where they would be safe. She created a book of lost names because while forging these documents and giving these kids new identity, she wanted a way to remember those kids and for those kids someday to be able to remember where they came from. It was an emotional book. I cried, I laughed, it made me really happy, and I think you guys should give this book a read because you'll really love it too, especially if you love historical fiction and World War II books. The next book I'll talk about is Serena Singh Flips the Script. This is the last book I read in the month of March, and I love this book. So this book follows Serena Singh, and it follows the culture of needing to be married and needing to the traditional female role, and Serena basically rebelling against that. It's told from her point of view, and it's also told from the point of view of her mom, which I thought was very interesting because it's not often that you get to see the point of view of a South Asian parent in stories like these. But I love this book. It was a fast read, and it's very relatable. Like some of the things that she went through in terms of like all your friends getting pregnant and getting married and moving to the suburbs, and you're the only one stuck still in the city and losing touch with everybody, and the loneliness that you feel from that. I think a lot of people can relate to that, so definitely give this one a read. It got 4 out of 5. Next one is Finlay Donovan, Killing It. This book is really, really funny. This book I read as a part of a buddy read on Bookstagram. I really loved it. It was a 4 out of 5. It started off slow for me, I have to admit. In the first, I'll say maybe 20% of the book, I was not loving Finlay. I was not connecting with her as a character. I liked her, but I didn't love her yet. And I think her friend Vero coming in is who saved it for me. I think the banter and interaction between her and Vero was kind of what saved it for me. The book basically follows Finlay as she's recently divorced, 2 kids. She's an author. She's in a Panera Bread with her agent talking about the plot of her next book, and another woman listening, thinking, hearing the plot of the book, thinking she's a contract killer, and hires her to kill her husband. And it follows the whole drama that ensues after that. So it was pretty funny. It's a mystery because of course you're trying to figure out who did what, and it was really funny and it's really good, and I think you guys will love it, and hopefully you'll connect with Finlay sooner than I did, but I really enjoyed that one. The next book for me is The Boyfriend Material by Alexis Hall. This was the first book that I was reading from Alexis Hall, and oh my god, I hooted when I was reading this book. I laughed out loud like every couple pages, like hilarious. Honestly, I think this is one of the funniest books I've read, probably ever. It's probably one of the funniest books I've read. It followed Luke, who is his parents are famous rock stars, and so he's kind of semi-famous based on the fact that they're his parents, and him needing to clean up his image because of course the partying and all that stuff. But it was hilarious. Like honestly, if you've watched The Office, the kind of humor that's in The Office is like, I think I hooted most in the conversations that he was having with his co-workers. I was just like, it was hilarious. Like it really was hilarious. Like you guys have to read this book. I hope you have my sense of humor and you'll find it funny, but it was hilarious. So this was a 4 out of 5 for me. It's a library book. I'll probably get it. If I see like at a thrift store or something, I'll buy it. And then the next one I wanted to talk about was At Your Age, Eve Brown by Talia Hibbert. Loved this book. So love Talia Hibbert. She's a British author, and she's amazing. Like this is probably her 4th book that I'm reading, and this is a 3rd book in a series with the Brown sisters. So there are 2 other books that came before this one. You don't necessarily have to read the other books in order to read this one. You can read it as a standalone. So give it a try, and read the other ones too. Like the other ones are really, really good. It's just so sweet. Like it follows Eve, who's like a hot mess. Her family's very wealthy. She's bouncing about, not really doing much with her life, while both of her sisters are a high achiever, and she's from a family of high achievers. And she meets Jacob, who's running a B&B, a bed and breakfast. And of course they hate each other at first, and it's hilarious, it's sweet, it's an amazing love story. It will make you feel good. And I love that this book also has great representation and diversity. I love that. And then I call Talia Hibbert the queen of steam. So if you don't like steam in your romantic comedies, Talia is probably not your girl. But this was really, really, really nice. I enjoyed this one. So yeah, one of my favorites for the month of March. The Dating Plan. So, and this is by Sara Desai. So I read her first book, The Marriage Plan, and I really, really loved that one. I'm trying to decide which one I prefer. I think I prefer The Marriage Plan more. I'm not sure. So this one follows Daisy Patel, who's a software engineer, and Liam Murphy, who is a venture capitalist. And Liam is Daisy's brother's best friend back in high school, and it follows the whole history of their relationship back then. And they decide to do a marriage of convenience for Daisy to get all her aunties and her parents off her back about when she's getting married, and Liam so he can get an inheritance that his grandfather left for him. And it follows their journey through that. So it's a fun story. And again, I've been reading a lot of stories that with diverse characters, and I enjoy that. You learn a lot about somebody's culture, and I love that. So this was a good, fun read as well. Another one is First Come Like, Alicia Ray, and I love her. So this is the third book in her Modern Love series, and I've read the other two. And of course I had to get this one because I loved the other two. So this one follows Gia and Dev. So Gia is an influencer. She does YouTube videos and she's super popular. And Dev, he's from this huge Bollywood family. Everybody's a movie star, everybody's a rock star. And he's just moved to Hollywood. It follows their romance. So it's another fake dating rom-com, which I love the fake dating rom-coms because it always is hilarious, right? They spoke a lot about family, the importance of family. They featured their family very heavily, and I love that because family is super important. The final book is Accidentally Engaged, and this was another book that I got as an advanced reader copy and loved it so much that I bought the book. So yeah, I mean, you guys will always hear that with me, right? If I get the advanced reader copy and I absolutely love the book, I will want to own the book because I do reread my books. I actually do. So I usually like to own them. So this was super fun. It follows Rena and Nadim. Like, oh my God. You'll learn this about me. If you know me, you'll know I love food, and so I love books about food, and that's what this book is about. Like, honestly, you read this book, you'll be so hungry. So hungry. Like, after I finished reading this book, I craved Indian food for so long. But no, this is really good. I love this book. I'm on a group on Bookstagram, and we did a Zoom chat with the author, Farah Heron, and she's so sweet. Love her. So down to earth, so beautiful. The book was amazing. She's amazing. You even fall in love with the book more just because she's so great. So that was kind of one of the highlights of this month, is that I got to participate in that Zoom chat and got to ask her questions about the book. And the question I asked her was, I just wanted to know if she's really a foodie or if she had to do a lot of research for this book. And she actually is a foodie. She does bake a lot of bread. She does cook a lot. And even the recipes that were talked about in this book, there are family recipes and things like that. So yeah, this was great, and you guys should pick it up. She's a Canadian author, and this book is based in Canada. So sometimes you have Canadian authors and they base their books in the US just because that's a wider market. But I really loved that this was based in Canada. You can actually read it. It's like, oh, I know where that is. So that was pretty cool. So give this book a read. Thank you guys for checking out my YouTube channel, If you like this video, like the video, like actually like the video. Please subscribe and tell me how many books you guys read this month. If you read any, let me know in the comments section, or you can let me know what books you'd like me to read and talk about. I'd love to do that. Follow me on Instagram as well, and let's talk some more about books.